We've had some great snow on the first day of this winter, and as we count down to the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games, people are already heading to the mountains and to the slopes for their favorite winter activities. Did you know that there are some 7.2 million enthusiasts for snowboarding, the #1 winter sport around the world, even though it was only invented in 1965? The game that was inspired by surfing and skateboarding got its big break in 1998 when it was made an Olympic sport. And guess what? Today, over half of all snowboarders are under the age of 17. Next, we head to a snowboarding art exhibition to trace the track of this immensely popular lifestyle.
It's about speed, freedom, extreme movements, and also winter fun. Snowboarding has become a vital winter lifestyle for many around the world. The sport has come a long way from when the boards had ropes to control the direction.
Front foot goes in this binding right here, and then your back foot tucks underneath this back binding. So you've got enough leeway there. The back binding is different from the front binding so that you can adjust your stance to suit your style or whatever type of riding you're doing, whether it's in deep powder or freestyle, whatever.
And that was in the 1970s, not so long ago. Currently, an exhibition at Beijing's Wangfu Central showcases the culture and history of snowboarding.
To snowboarding lovers, Jake Burton must be quite an important name. He not only founded his own snowboard brand in the 1970s, but also contributed his whole life to this winter sport development. So today at this exhibition, we're going to trace Burton's story as well as how this winter sport has evolved in the past half a century.
This wall of snowboards of different periods is quite an eye-opener. They witnessed how the sport emerged in the 1970s and developed.
So this one is very special because this is specially made for women.
That's correct, yes.
One of Jake Burton's closest friends, Craig Smith, explains to me how Burton worked out the first generation of boards.
It evolved from a toy called the Snurfer, which a gentleman named Sherman Poppin made in the 60s. And when Jake was a young man, a young boy at that time.
Young boy.
He was probably 9, so very, very young when he started with the Snurfer. But when he was on that Snurfer, he always felt that there was a sport there. He thought that, even at that young age, that it should be something more than just a toy.
Those boards were barely rideable. But as a kid, I got a Snurfer, which was a toy-like version of a snowboard. It was much less expensive, but it was fun. There was no doubt about it. I mean, that's why I pursued it, with my life. And so I think once we got boards out there and people got, when we got them to sort of the right people and found the right ways to advertise them, and that's when it just sort of started to go. I mean, I think people just had fun on them.
The earliest snowboards were difficult to control, and riders often bumped into others. So snowboarding was banned by almost all resorts. And the main challenge for Burton and his peers at the time was how to make the boards safer and easy to control.
So the second year, we'd already basically made enough boards. They were sort of pre-done, and I just had to be assembled. But just, nobody wanted them. So I went from myself plus 3 full-time employees to basically myself, plus 1 or 2 high school kids working a little bit after school. So in other words, I had these sort of bigger expectations, and then it just went way down in terms of the whole scale of the company and the scale of my expectations and everything else.
And Burton's early years struggling in making a perfect board are recorded here.
So this is the replica of Jake's workshop?
That's correct.
The earliest one?
This is one of his first workshops, yes.
Okay.
It was in his garage in Vermont. This is the actual machine that he used in Vermont. We had to flow over for this exhibition, and it demonstrates how the boards are actually handmade. So this is actually a bandsaw. So here's the core of the wood, or core of the board, I should say, and it's actually hand cut with this machine.
This is the first machine, no?
This is one of the first machines, yes. One of the first
back
machines.
in the 1970s?
Yeah, exactly. It's late
Okay,
70s.
cool.
More than 4 decades have passed. The technical development of snowboards has helped snowboarding evolve from a niche winter activity to an Olympic sport, and its cultural value has grown.
The board itself is a canvas. There's been a lot of really interesting collaborations between snowboard companies and artists. Here, Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe. There's all these really cool big names that, because of the pop culture around snowboarding. So yes, snowboarding is a sport, but there's also the lifestyle component
and
to
also
it.
culture.
And the culture, yeah.
China has quite a number of enthusiasts. Popularity has grown in the past few years as China prepared for the 2022 Winter Olympics.
我比较喜欢滑雪，每年冬天都会去滑。我觉得单板会比双板的现在显得更时髦或者更酷一些。周围的很多朋友的孩子在学，夏天就是室内的去滑，商场里的开办的这种练习场。
那真的是很喜欢哈，就不光是冬天有条件的时候滑，夏天也要创造条件去玩。
其实他们夏天是在学，然后学好了以后，冬天等有雪了以后去现场。
For the vast majority of snowboarders, the joy lies in, of course, learning how to do new moves, and also the surprises brought by improvements in equipment.
最开始我是玩双板滑雪，玩了几年之后，发现还是单板比较有意思，玩起来比较自由流畅，而且感觉玩法更多一些。
它已经成为您就是冬季的一种生活方式了吗？
对啊，我感觉它是我冬季生活重要的一部分。每次春天来的时候，会感觉自己又少了一些乐趣。
Now in China, there's reported 20 million skiers and snowboarders. The good news is with the 2022 Beijing Olympics, there's a lot of infrastructure being created. Outside of Beijing and the Chongli area, there's 7 world-class snow resorts. In preparation for the Olympics, the bullet train, the high-speed rail was established between Beijing and Zhangjiakou, which will help access. So that really helped to grow the sport. We're also seeing a lot of infrastructure development at resorts all through China, making more hotels, more apartments. So we see the potential for growth for snowboarding to be pretty substantial in China.
As equipment continues to improve and innovate, Smith believes snowboarding will surely gain a larger fan base around the world at a faster pace. Li Qiong, CGTN, Beijing.